What's up, my friends, and welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. As always, we're broadcasting live from the Xfinity Lounge here at the PHLY studios and brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use the promo code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you'll get $200 back in bonus bets, whether your bet wins or loses. We are one day closer and perhaps one game away from knowing who the Phillies NLDS opponent is going to be. On Saturday afternoon, we have an idea of when the game is going to be played, and I think we'll talk more about that. It's dependent upon the Red Sox and the Yankees series, whether the Phillies will play at 6 or 6:30 on Saturday. We'll talk about that. We have a lot of fun things to get into, and I have to start with this. And hello to you, and before we get into everything, hello to you, Tyler Zulli, Andrew Frazier producing today's show. We'll talk to Andrew in just a moment. I have to tell you this. Monday afternoon, Monday evening, I enjoyed having the day off. Covering a baseball team for 162 games over 190 days is a grind at times. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my job is hard. I talk about baseball for a living. I get paid to talk about baseball. I don't save lives. I don't teach the youth of America. I'm not in the military. I have a very easy job, comparably. But covering a team for 162 games over 190 days is mentally taxing at times, and I enjoyed my day off on Monday. I woke up yesterday raring to go for postseason baseball. I know the Phillies weren't going to play yesterday, and I know they're not going to play today, other than the inter-squad game, which we'll talk about later. And they're not going to play a meaningful game until Saturday. We don't even know who they're going to play at this juncture of the week. But I woke up yesterday feeling really giddy about Major League Baseball postseason being back, because there's something special about getting to watch the postseason kind of carefree. And I'm not talking about watching it because your team is out of the postseason because your team isn't any good. I'm talking about because your team has earned the right to have the bye and advance immediately to the NLDS. There's something fun and carefree about getting to watch baseball just because baseball is fun. And yesterday, baseball delivered in a way that maybe even I was not expecting. There were 4 games yesterday, and I would say 3 of them were ultra competitive. The Dodgers and the Reds didn't feel like a very competitive baseball game. Shohei Ohtani homered in the first inning. The Dodgers scored 4 in the middle portion of the innings. They made it a 5-0 game. They end up winning 10-5. Wasn't a very particularly competitive game. But the other 3 games, the first 3 of the day, were really fun, especially if you like high intensity, high leverage, low scoring, pitchers duels type baseball. That's the type of baseball that I love. I love 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, hang on the edge of your seat for every pitch. I had a buddy in a group chat yesterday type something along the lines of, there's somewhere in the range of 250 to 300 pitches thrown in a Major League Baseball game. And in the postseason, you are holding your breath for every single one, from pitch 1 to the final pitch of the game, because these games mean everything. This postseason, the way that it's structured, throws you right into the fire. If you're playing in the wild card round, you don't have an opportunity to say, well, we lost game 1, but we think we're the better team. We'll come back in game 2. We're going to win the series. You can still do that, but you are immediately pressed and your back is against the wall if you lose game 1, especially if you're the home team, like the New York Yankees, like the Cleveland Guardians, who are now facing elimination after just 1 game because your team struggled to score runs and your offense didn't perform. But inversely, if you're the team that's on the road, like the Red Sox and the Tigers, and your aces absolutely shoved in game 1, you're feeling really good. You have an opportunity to close this thing out, to not have to worry about a game 3 on the road in a hostile environment in a divisional matchup for both of those settings. We were treated to some really, really good baseball yesterday, and we're going to talk all about it coming up. But here's what's coming up on the PHLY Phillies podcast. We are going to get into game 1s around the wild card. We'll talk about the Tigers and the Guardians, the Red Sox and the Yankees, the Padres and the Cubs, and the Dodgers and the Reds. Later on in today's show, I thought we'd look back at the Phillies regular season as we await the NLDS opponent and take a look at what I thought to be the 5 best wins of the 2025 season. And they range in merit of importance. They range in how the game was won. They range in early in the season to winning the division and everywhere in between. We're going to talk about what I believe to be the 5 best wins of the 2025 season. And then I want to give you all credit because Phillies fans are the absolute best. And we're going to talk about the fact that the Phillies sold out their ticket allotment for a practice game, for an inter-squad game to stay sharp and stay loose for the NLDS. We have all of that coming up on the PHLY Phillies podcast. We have about 50 minutes left to do this thing. So let's jump right into the conversation and start with the first game of the afternoon yesterday, the the AL Central matchup in the wild card round between the Tigers and the Guardians. And I think we have to start the conversation where we're going to start it in a lot of different places in this conversation with the starting pitching matchup. Tarik Skubal is a dog, an absolute dog. I said this to Bill Matz, sitting out and hanging out, prepping our shows for today. I, for a long time, have said, I think that the get off my bleeping mound type of pitcher is starting to become extinct. In an era of hyper-focused analytics, in an era of hyper-focused matchups, matchup-based stuff, in an era where we have seemingly unlimited medical and analytical information that says after X amount of pitches or X amount of times through the lineup, this guy becomes inefficient and we are going to take him out before that situation arises. I think that the era of dudes who just want the baseball and are going to go out there and shove every 5th day or even less in the postseason is starting to dwindle. Tarik Skubal is that guy. Garrett Crochet is that guy. And we'll talk more about him in a little bit. I thought that era was starting to dwindle away as the careers of guys like Max Scherzer began to kind of start to come to an end. The Bob Gibson type of pitchers, the Nolan Ryan type of pitchers, the Randy Johnson type of pitchers, the Pedro Martinez type of pitchers. And I'm not talking about guys who are going to throw 300 plus innings or strike out 300 batters in a season or take the ball 40 times. That just doesn't really happen anymore. But I'm talking about the guys with absolute dog mentalities when they take the mound and they basically say, force me off the mound. Make you, the opposition, take me off the mound. Because if my manager comes out in the middle of an inning, we're going to fight. I might fist fight him on the middle of the field. And there's not a lot of guys left who have that mentality. And Tarik Skubal is that dude. Tarik Skubal got 26 swings and misses yesterday in 7 2/3 elite innings. He threw 107 pitches and struck out 14 batters, allowed just 6 base runners, 3 hits and 3 walks. An unbelievable dominating performance from Tarik Skubal. Multiple Cleveland batters with offers. Stephen Kwan, one of the most reliable contact hitters in all of baseball, 0 for 4. Jonathan Rodriguez, their right fielder, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Kyle Manzardo, 2 strikeouts. Brian Rocchio, 2 strikeouts. Noel, 3 strikeouts. Angel Martinez, 2 strikeouts. Tarik Skubal last night was incredible. And I have to tip my cap to Gavin Williams as well. I thought he pitched really well. Only threw 88 pitches, struck out 8, went 6 shutout innings. It was an unfortunate, 6 innings of 2-run ball. It was an unfortunate scenario where he just happened to be the lesser of the 2 starting pitchers on the day. because he only himself gave up just the 5 hits, the 2 earned runs. He got 19 swings and misses. He was excellent in his own right. And if you like high leverage baseball, there is no better situation than in the 9th inning, the bottom of the 9th, with an opportunity to win the game, where Jose Ramirez singles and an overthrow, and Jose Ramirez ends up standing on second base on the throwing error from Javi Baez, ends up standing on third base, with the tying run 90 feet away. Will Vest steps up and strikes out George Valera, gets a fielder's choice back to the pitcher on Kyle Manzardo, and gets a pop-up to CJ Kayfus to end the game. That is fortitude at its finest from a pitching staff between Will Vest and, of course, Tarek Skubal to take Game 1 for the Detroit Tigers. And not to be outdone was Garrett Crochet in Game 1 of this series. Garrett Crochet was excellent in his own right against the New York Yankees. And I think I've used the word shove multiple times. Went out and did it himself. 7 2/3 innings of 1-run ball. 11 strikeouts for Crochet in this one. An unbelievable amount of swing and miss for Crochet as well. He got 16 swings and misses. Max Fried, who we'll talk about in just a little bit, was equally good, just a shade lesser. He got 19 swings and misses. And for Garrett Crochet, the thing that stood out to me the most, and again, in an era of hyper-focused matchups and analytics and medical staff saying this guy can't throw more than 89.5 pitches, Garrett Crochet, on his 117th pitch of the night, spotted, absolutely painted, 100-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner of the plate to get a strikeout on his final pitch of the night. Got a batter looking, was absolutely nasty. He himself struck out 11 and threw 117 pitches. And that, to me, felt like an old-school pitching performance. That, to me, felt like this dude wants the ball until his arm falls off. That, to me, showed me that Garrett Crochet was not going to shy away from the moment in his first ever postseason start. It was an elite performance from pitchers in those 2 games. And then you turn the ball over to Aroldis Chapman. Chapman gets the out in the 8th to get out of the jam. He comes back out for the 9th with a 3-1 lead, and he gives up a base hit, a base hit, a base hit, back-to-back-to-back base hits to start the inning, to Paul Goldschmidt, to Aaron Judge, and to Cody Bellinger. Couple of bleeders and a hard hit ball from Aaron Judge. Bases loaded, nobody out. And what Aroldis Chapman does against Giancarlo Stanton, who could have very easily made it a 5-3 Yankees win with one swing of the bat, goes 100, 101, and then drops the split on the outer edge for the strikeout. He gets the first out. He gets Jazz Chisholm to fly out on a ball that was not hit hard enough to score the tying run. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and then he strikes out Trent Grisham with 101, 100, 101, 101. Unbelievable performance from the Red Sox pitching staff last night, and it's the main reason as to why they are up 1-0 in this best-of-3 series. If you need to win a wild card round, you need to have a guy who's going to go out there and basically go balls to the wall and pitch at an elite level to jump out to this lead. And I thought Max Fried was really good. I thought Gavin Williams was really good. I thought Nick Pivetta pitched well, 5 innings of decent ball. I thought Matthew Boyd was really good. But the 2 guys that stood out in yesterday's games, Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, absolute hat tip to those guys. They were unbelievable. All right, before we hit our first break, I want to welcome in our second member of today's program into today's show, our producer, our co-host, our buddy, Andrew Frazier.
Yo!
What an unbelievable night of baseball. And I got to tell you, as a Phillies fan and a Phillies observer, getting to watch those games with no heart palpitations made baseball a lot of fun yesterday.
Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to watch
Sure
a sport you enjoy without having to worry about anything, about an outcome, about how a player performs, about getting a run, about getting a guy out. You can just sit there on your couch, have a nice drink, have a nice snack, and just watch the game you love so much.
It was an unbelievable night of baseball. And it culminates, of course, with the Dodgers beating the Reds, probably the least competitive of the 3 games. I think that this Dodgers team, we'll talk more about them on Friday. I'm assuming they're going to win this series. If it's not tonight, it will probably be tomorrow. This Dodgers team is good, Andrew.
Yeah.
And we knew that going into the postseason. This Dodgers team is good. But you said to me something right before the show started, and it's something we talked about plenty.
Yeah.
How does their bullpen fare? That's the big question, right? They gave up 2 pretty unimportant runs yesterday. It was 10-3, It was 10-2 when Blake Snell came out of the game. The final was 10-5. Pretty unimportant, uninspiring runs for the Reds. But it was another handful of runs for the Dodgers bullpen that was given up.
Mm-hmm.
You said to me, if you can get into their bullpen in the 5th inning, you feel pretty good about that series. Otherwise, I think this is going to be a fight. If you're playing the Dodgers in 5 games, you're going to have to earn this series win.
I fully agree. And yeah, it's great that you have hitters like Schwarber and Harper and Turner to lead you off, because those guys can really help you, if not extend these pitch counts on these guys, on these pitchers, to make do some damage, and get into their heads of these pitchers, and hopefully get these guys out within the first 5 innings. Because the biggest sore spot for this Dodgers team, I think their Achilles heel, is that bullpen.
Sure.
And once you get into that bullpen, I have a really good feeling that, you can take advantage of it. And that's also kind of been, just going back and looking at the season that the Phillies have had, that's kind of been their MO the entire season, is that, with the starting pitchers, they may have struggled to get runs, but as soon as they got teams into their bullpen, they became a different team hitting as well. They were finding the runs.
Their best band of innings is 7, 8, and 9 in terms of stats. If you talk about the 3 bands, they do the most damage late in games.
Yeah.
That's a positive sign. That's not a team that rolls over. I mean, we're going to talk about some of the best wins. A lot of them are come from behind victories. They're score late to win the game. They're, close games. But the Phillies found a way to win a lot of these games because they're able to score late in the ballgame. And I think that's going to become imperative. 2 guys that I'm going to need, especially when Snell's on the mound, when their lefties are on the mound, the 2 guys that I'm going to need to see some more pitches are Alec Bohm and Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
You got to buy into this thought process of getting these guys out of the game after 5 innings.
Yeah.
Whether it is the lefty and Castellanos is playing. Kepler does a good job of it against the righties. So if it's, Shohei or whomever, Yamamoto or whomever, you all have to kind of buy in, and you have to understand that you may take a good pitch for strike 1 and situationally go after that pitch. First and second, nobody out. If you get a good pitch, go after it.
Yeah.
Second, runners on the corners with 2 outs, I need you to be
conservative.
In terms of I need you to generate pitch. First batter of the inning, I need you to see some pitches.
Yeah, I
First
agree.
guy goes down after 2 pitches. Second guy up, you need to take that mantle and run with it, right? So there needs to be a team concerted effort if you are going to play the Dodgers to get into their bullpen by the 6th inning.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
And we've talked about it, right? They're going to move some of these starters to the bullpen. Glasnow might be a weapon out of the bullpen if they don't use him. If they win tonight, the Dodgers will very likely go Ohtani, Snell, Yamamoto for the first 3 games.
Yeah.
They may not need Glasnow at least until Game 4, but he could be a weapon out of the bullpen for them in the next couple of nights, and tonight's game, and then heading into the DS. He's nasty. And I'd love to see what he can do in a 1 inning or 2 inning sample size, right? They've moved Sasaki to the bullpen. We've talked about this, but getting into their bullpen, especially if you're not getting Vesia or Banda or Dreyer, if you're getting Scott or Trinan or Yates, you got to get after these guys early.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah, and unless some red magic happens, tonight again in this game, I really don't think Yeah, I think this is the last night.
Yeah,
for
I
the,
think
for
you're
the
probably
Reds.
going to see the Dodgers wrap this thing
Yeah,
up.
I
They're
think
the
it's-
superior team.
I think out of most of the series that are going, I think the only one I could really see going to 3 would be this Boston and New York. Yeah.
I tend to agree. I would say Boston, New York. The other one I think has a chance would be San Diego and the Cubs.
Yeah.
Just because I'm interested to see how Craig Counsell is going to manage the bulk innings, because Andrew Kittredge is starting tonight. Shota Imanaga, who obviously is a starter, is getting the bulk innings. And I'm curious to see how he fares coming out of the bullpen in that situation.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because Imanaga's got nasty stuff. Doesn't throw particularly hard, but that splitter's filthy. I'm interested to see how his mindset changes when he's not preparing as a starter, quote unquote.
Oh, yeah. And I'd love to see San Diego out of here.
That bullpen still worries me. Like last night, they were very inconsistent offensively, but that bullpen does still worry me. And if they get into a 7-game series, like that's a bullpen that chops you into an 18-out game as opposed to a 27-out game. Mason Miller's been disgusting since coming to the Padres. Robert Suarez is gross. Like, it's a really good bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, if the Cubs can take out the Padres and the Phillies beat the Dodgers, I feel like it's a shoe-in World Series Phillies.
Well, you and I have been saying that for a while. I think the two most likely outcomes for this Phillies team are World Series appearance or NLDS loss to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Like, if they get to the CS, I do firmly believe they are going to the World Series.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to discredit the Brewers or the Padres or the Cubs. I do just think in a 7-game series, the Phillies will be better than those 3 teams.
Oh, without a doubt.
Even though the Phillies have not played the Brewers particularly well over the last couple of seasons, I think in this CS scenario, the Phillies would beat them in a CS. I think getting to the CS might prove more difficult than getting to the World Series, especially with the 5 games. All right, let's pause on the other side. We're going to get into our my segment on why you guys are the absolute best. We also have to tell you about our top 5 Phillies wins of the year. And at the end of the show, we are going to rank 1 through 4 the postseasons. MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA. I want to get your thoughts on that as well. It's the PHLY Phillies podcast. We're brought to you by our friends over at Bet365, and we'll be right back after this. Yesterday was incredible, and we have another day of full slate baseball watching. And if you're hanging out with a buddy whose setup is a mess, buffering, lagging, you got to switch between apps, you got to tell your friend they need Xfinity. Because if you call yourself a baseball fan, you have to get in with Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where you can find all of the best games and your favorite teams beginning on Saturday all in one place. And the way that you watch becomes next level. It's the perfect fan flex where you can combine incredible crystal clear optics and 4K enhanced sound to make you feel like you are right down there at the ballpark. Sometimes you end up getting 4 games on at once. Now it's 4 consecutive games, but you can go split screen if the games start to overlap, like I think they might today. 1 and 3 and 6 and 9. You get baseball wall to wall beginning at 1:08 today. And on top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on your TV. So next game day, make sure that big fan in your life isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And find out why 90 million users worldwide have tuned in to Bet365. You can live stream 780,000 events each and every year across 78 different sporting platforms. So it's not just the big 4. It's not just college. It's not just pro soccer. It's sports around the world that you can bet at any time of the day. And how about this? New users right now, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and use the promo code PHLY365 to get $200 back in bonus bets, whether your bet wins or loses. You can use those bonus bet monies on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and so much more. You find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli, Andrew Frazier, and our friends hanging out in the chat. What's up, Futz? What's up, Elephant in the Room? Everybody who's hanging out, appreciate you all for being here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this afternoon as we get you set for the inter-squad game tonight between the pinstripe Phillies, and I think they're wearing the old school blue. I think that's what it is.
Nice.
So I know Jesus Luzardo is starting for one of the teams. I don't think the other pitcher's been announced. My guess would probably be Aaron Nola. Ranger Suarez, I don't believe, is going to pitch today. They want him to continue to rest after that comebacker the other day.
So break this down for me, because
Sure.
I'm curious how they format this. Is it like the starting lineup that will be in the playoffs all play together, or are they
No.
going to be like
I think it's going to be split.
draft players? You go here, you play here.
I think they've probably come up with lineups that are split pretty evenly. Like you might see Schwarber and Harper split to split the lefties. You might see, I don't know, Turner and Stott split to split the shortstops up. Inter-squad games are weird. You can go about it in a couple different ways. You could just get like 18 guys and play a one-on-one team game. You could have a guy, I don't want to, it's like remember when we were kids and you used to have like an odd number of kids play football? So somebody would be like steady quarterback.
Yeah.
Or steady defense.
Yeah.
You might have a little bit of mixing and matching that way where it's like, okay, Bryson Stott's going to play 6 straight outs at second base or whatever. Whatever it comes at, they can mix and match however they want to make it. They're going to, I think it's more about situational stuff and it's more about staying sharp. You're playing an inter-squad game. It's not the same as in-game. It's not the same as in-game stuff.
No.
It's as close to simulation as you possibly can get.
Yeah, it's to give
They'll
you
probably
reps.
do high-leverage relievers, like they're going to get Matt Strahm coming out of the bullpen with runners on first and second and 1 out. They want to make him... I guarantee you Orion Kerkering is going to come into a inherited runner spot today. They want to see what he can do. Like, they'll mix and match as best they can. It's the best simulation that they possibly can, but it's not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But let's get into our big deal segment of the day, which is brought to you by our friends over at Cherry Hill Jeep. If you're looking for a Jeep or Ram truck, there's really only one dealership in South Jersey who has been the market leader since 1967. That's our friends over at Cherry Hill Jeep and cherryhilljeep.com. They have you covered on the best selection. The big deal today, Andrew, and I want you to join this conversation as well.
Of course.
Phillies fans and Philly sports fans continue to be the best fans in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Without question,
Hands down.
the best fans in the world. And today's reason is because of this inter-squad game. The Phillies sold more than 31,000 tickets to a practice baseball game between the Phillies and the Phillies.
It's crazy.
It's not broadcast. I think on WIP, I saw that Jack Fritz is calling the game.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool, like, for Jack. I think it's Jack and Seltzer calling the game. Like, that's cool for them.
Yeah.
I would love that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's super, super cool for those two guys. I hope they have a blast.
Yeah.
But like, they're playing it up. It's going to be fun. It was $10 to get in. It was mostly lower bowl. And the money's going to charity.
Love it.
So all what? $310,000 are going to charity.
Yeah.
Plus 31,000 fans are buying tickets to a practice game tonight. Let that sink in for a moment, and let's compare that to a particular game yesterday between the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians, which, Andrew, if I remember correctly, was a real game.
Yeah.
Was a real playoff game.
Yeah, it was.
Was a real division rival playoff game in the wild card
That
round.
it was, yeah.
Do you know how many tickets were sold to that game?
See, now, it was a 1 o'clock game on a Tuesday. After, I can't imagine that there were many.
28,000.
Yeah.
28,000 tickets were sold to that game. And I will say this. I know, because Philly is a blue-collar town as well. A lot of hardworking people who get up at the crack of dawn to go to their jobs, work 6 days a week, works 50, 60 hours a week. I respect you all enormously. Whether you are sitting at a desk or you're in construction or you're doing whatever, you are a hardworking town, and this town gets to spend its dollars on its sports teams because it's something that we're passionate about. But I understand, A, times are tough, B, people have jobs, and C, you could spend your money somewhere else, but you choose to spend them at Citizens Bank Park because you are sickos in the most complimentary way possible. But I saw a lot of people on Twitter yesterday, Andrew, like, Cleveland's a hardworking blue-collar town, and it's a 1 o'clock game, and we can't get... If that game were at Citizens Bank Park today, people would have been literally trying to do the Always Sunny, like, scale the facade to get into that ballpark.
Yeah, go Phils.
I remember there was a day a day postseason game. I think it was I believe it was in 2008 against the Brewers. And the place was nuts. If the game was at 1 o'clock yesterday, especially if it were like Phillies Mets, Phillies Braves division rival.
Oh, yeah.
Place would have been off the charts.
People are calling out sick, playing hooky. Come on. You can't tell me that place is not going to be full.
I get it. We're all adults and we have adult responsibility. As Tommy Pickles once said in the Rugrats, don't want to have sponsibilities anymore.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I respect you 100% if you have to go to your job because your food on your table and your kids and everything depends on it. I'm not trying to discredit that.
It's also cold season, so you can cough in the phone a little bit.
Right. But like you have an opportunity. I can only compare it to what we have in this city. And in this city, we have a bunch of rabid sickos.
Yeah.
Who would
love it.
Legitimately try to like undermine her into the stadium if they couldn't get a ticket.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Isn't there like some secret tunnel into the stadium?
I don't know. To go back to the Always Sunny reference,
casino?
They seem to think there is.
Yeah, you can just sneak through that.
You end up getting stuck in there for 3 days, but I just
bring your jungle juice.
I see this situation and I'm like, 31,000 fans for a practice tune-up game is just like next level unbelievable. The Eagles sell out their flight nights every night.
Yeah.
Every season, right? The Phillies are selling out the lower bowl, probably plus at this point, because I think the lower bowl has to be more than 31,000, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, less than 31,000. Like, there has to be auxiliary seats up top or standing room or whatever that got sold. 31,000 of you are going down to watch a practice game.
Yeah. And like also this, like what a message to the team for the Phillies to be to see that these people, so many fans are coming out to come see them in a scrimmage. And that must feel so good. If I was a Phillies player, for me to see that would inspire me to be like, all right, we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we can be successful here.
Well, and I do think there's a part of this too that is like, I understand postseason tickets are expensive, especially on the secondary markets. Like, scalpers get out of hand. It should be illegal, quite frankly. The jack up in price between face value and what scalpers sell it for. I understand there's also a thought of like, hey, $10. I'll go down for $10. I'll take the whole family for $10, right? You and your spouse, and maybe you got 2 or 3 kids. Like, getting to a postseason game becomes almost impossible.
Yeah.
If there's 4 or 5 of you, I totally get that. $10 though, especially for charity. Yeah, I'll do $50.
Yeah,
right? $40-$50.
Exactly.
Right? You pay for parking, you get a bite to eat. Your night's probably $120.
Wow, the food, yeah. I mean, chickies and
you
pizzas.
Can manage it though.
$25
right? Like
for
eat before you go, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're worried about the money, if that's a thing, you eat before you go, right?
Yeah, get your Wawa before you come.
Yeah, right. You could grab just a drink instead of a couple or whatever. You manage that money however you need to manage it. But I think there is a thought of like, yeah, I could do $10 a ticket. Like, I'll go down and watch this team practice. And that's part of the sicko nature of this Philadelphia sports rabid fan base that I absolutely adore. Like, there is no other city I would rather be in. And I know that we grew up here. I know that it's intrinsic to us. It is in our lifeblood to bleed green and be a diehard Phillies fan. And like I always talk about, when the Flyers finally get good again, good Flyers hockey is contagious. The Sixers, thanks for being here. But like, when your teams are good, it's part of the lifeblood. And so you see 31,000 fans and you're like, my God, I love this city.
Yeah.
I love this city. And I love all of you for being just as big of sickos as we are here at PHLY. All right, that's our big deal segment. It's brought to you by our friends over at Cherry Hill Jeep. Once again, cherryhilljeep.com to get in on a Jeep or a new Ram truck. Shop 24/7 online at cherryhilljeep.com. All right, on the other side, we're going to spend some time getting into our top 5 best Phillies wins of the year. We're going to take you back through 162 games, and we'll rehash they won 96 games this year. It is the 6th most in Phillies franchise history for a single season. How do we pick the top 5? Well, we did it on a couple of different metrics, and I'll explain it to you on the other side. It's the PHLY Phillies podcast. We are brought to you by our friends over at Bet365, and we are broadcasting live from the Xfinity Lounge here at the PHLY studios. We'll be right back after this. All right, speaking of our friends over at Cherry Hill Jeep, if you're looking for a new Jeep or Ram truck, there's only one dealership in South Jersey that has been the market leader since 1967. Of course, it's our friends at Cherry Hill Jeep and cherryhilljeep.com. They've got you covered on the best selection, but most importantly, the best prices. How about this? 0% financing for 60 months on a 2025 Grand Jeep Cherokee with the third row, by the way. And how about this one? Even better. 0% for 72 months. That is 6 years worth of 0% on a 2025 Ram 1500. And that offer, it's not going to stick around for long. It's going fast, so get in now while you can. Slide into a 2025 Jeep Wrangler for just $289 a month, or pull away in the most luxurious and functional SUV, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which includes True Zero offer. Stop in today, tell them PHLY sent you, and receive an additional $1,000 for your trade-in. I know people buy Jeeps and Rams elsewhere. I'm just not sure why. Shop online 24/7 at cherryhilljeep.com. All right, while we're here, let's talk about our friends over at Game Time. Well, we were talking about tickets getting out of hand. Game Time gives the advantage back to you, especially when it comes to postseason. You are going to get the most authentic and up-to-date ticket pricing on the market with our friends at Game Time. And unlike some of those other secondary sites, Game Time is going to tell you exactly what you're going to pay before you go to put your credit card information. There's no hidden fees. All you have to do is slide one little toggle, and you're going to know exactly what you're going to pay with the price all inclusive. And if you find a better deal elsewhere, Game Time will refund you up to 110% of the difference. You can use the 3D seat map to see exactly where you're going to sit. And with some of the best protection in all of ticketing, the ticketing market, you know that Game Time has your back and gives the advantage back to you, the ticket buyer. So here's what you're going to do. Download the Game Time app today. Use the promo code PHLY and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download the app, use the code PHLY and get $20 off your first purchase. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli and Andrew Frazier here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here. If you're in the chat, we really appreciate you. If you're just sitting and hanging out listening, I appreciate you as well. Ed Wright says, me and you. He wants us to call the game.
Well, you'd have to call it, and I would just be commenting.
Do you have any play-by-play experience?
Huh?
Do you have any play-by-play experience?
No, I wouldn't be able to call a game.
So I did it in college. And I think I may have said this before. I actually wanted that to be... That was my first career thought. Like, that was what my thought was going to be, was I was going to be a play-by-play guy. And I really looked at it, like, midway through college, and I'm like, do I want to be on the road 6 months out of the year? Not really.
Sounds kind of fun.
It sounds kind of fun when you're, like, 23 and single, right? Or,
yeah.
You know, but as soon as you start thinking about your future...
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, do I want a family? Do I want kids? It's like,
yeah, you got kids.
I give those guys a lot of credit. And that's why, like, Scott Fransky said this before. He always says, like, they ask him, like, oh, would you do basketball or football? And he's like, bleep no. It's like, I'm on the road all the time. I call 162 plus every single year. He's like, end of October through February when they report to spring training, he's like, that's me time.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't want to be
either.
working. Like, T-Mac does everything.
He does football, yeah.
And like, kudos to him. But like, if I were in that situation, I'd be in Scott Fransky's shoes. Like, screw that, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would be fun to do something like this tonight, to call it. You would definitely have to be the one that's calling the game.
I've done it
and I would
before.
definitely commentate and have fun.
I wouldn't say I'm good.
But it would be fun to do it.
Like,
I'd have a good time doing that with you.
I think I'm okay at it. I haven't done it in years. It would probably take me some innings to get like back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
But so I'll tell you this story real quick, then we'll get to our top 5. So my wife, God bless her, used to listen to all of my college game calls. Like, we were dating at the time, and I guess she was trying to be a good girlfriend at the time. She would listen to everything.
Man,
and like,
she
would text me after the game and be like, "Hey, like, this was a good call. I thought this inning was really good." So like, I knew she was actually listening. And now she doesn't let me forget it. I guess I got into a routine of when I was calling baseball of my go-to like lead up to the pitch was sets at the belt. You know, like hand in the glove sets, right?
Yeah.
Gets ready to go. And I guess when pitchers were in the windup, I had a tendency to say sets at the belt, kicks and fires. Like, you know, that was just kind of my cadence. And she just sometimes will randomly say to me, sets at the belt. And I'm like, dude, it's been years since I've called a baseball game. It's been years since I've called anything.
That's so funny.
Why are you still making fun of me for it?
Yeah. Man, if I had girlfriends in my past, if I was doing something like that, they wouldn't listen to anything. They'd be like, are you done yet?
So
are you coming home soon?
My wife was a college softball player. So watching baseball and softball is like something we really enjoy to do together. Prior to me getting this job, we watched a lot of baseball and softball together.
There you go.
Nice. It's a pastime of ours that we really enjoy. I love watching the college softball World Series. Yeah. I think it's so much fun. I think softball as a whole is a lot of fun to watch. It is fast-paced. It is close. The bases are only 60 feet. And you watch pitchers sometimes, they'll throw like 180 pitches.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'm good to go tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, those women are athletes, man.
Unbelievable athletes.
Yeah,
like,
they're great.
And, you know, you see 70, right? 70, 72, and it's like MLB equivalent 104. And you're like, holy bleep.
Yeah.
Like, that is wild. Yeah, so, like, it's something that she and I enjoy doing.
It's a rarity because, you know, you don't finding a partner. Not often do you find somebody who's also into the sports.
Sure. So like, watching the Phillies every night is not an issue in my house. And I've always said, like, my son has one of two things. He's either going to love baseball or he's going to hate baseball. Because we watch it every night in my house.
Yeah.
So, like, he's either going to grow up and be just like his dad and just like... So, my dad got me into I've talked very openly about my relationship with my dad and how much he and I are, like, best friends.
Yeah.
And how much he made me a baseball fan. And his dad made him a baseball fan. And, like, I want my son to do whatever he wants in life.
Yeah.
But my, like, in my heart of hearts, hope is that he loves baseball the same way I do, the same way my dad does, the same way his dad does. Like, that's my hope. But there's enough baseball on in my house where he could tell me one day, be like, Dad, I'm so tired of this game.
Yeah.
I hope it's not, but he could.
Yeah.
All right.
Futz, yes, I've dated the Monsters, Inc. receptionist many times in my life. That's why they all sound that way.
You forgot to turn in your paperwork, Wazowski. I love that movie.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get into our top 5 Phillies wins of the year. We're going to split these. We're going to do 5, 4, and 3. We'll hit a break, and then we'll get to 2 and 1. And then we'll wrap up today's show with a conversation about postseason sports. Number 5. Oh, by the way, here's my criteria. Here's what I did for this criteria. The game had to feel like it had some extra juice. So whether it was the second game of the year or winning the division, made me feel like I was amped up to be a baseball fan. There had to be some sort of dramatics involved. Whether it's a come-from-behind victory or a pitcher just absolutely flat-out dominating or whatever it might be, there had to be some sort of, like, dramatics storyline involved. And then the last thing was there was more weight put on games later in the season because they meant more. Game 7 means a whole lot less than Game 157. So here's our top 5.
This goes from 5 to 1, right?
This goes from 5 to 1.
Making sure
so
I don't
our
click the wrong
number
one.
5 game takes us all the way back to April 4th. And the potential NLDS matchup that we are awaiting upon, it was a 3-2 Friday night win over the LA Dodgers. Let's go all the way back to the 7th game of the season.
That's
it was
the
Jesus
Luzardo game, right?
What's that?
Yeah, Luzardo, yeah.
Jesus Luzardo's first start in Citizens Bank Park. They were wearing the awful blue and yellow jerseys for the first time that year. And it was against, at that point, Andrew, the Dodgers were 8-0. Coming into that game.
That's right.
So there was a little bit of feel of like, can the Phillies be the first team to knock off the undefeated Dodgers? Luzardo was excellent. All game, he was really, really good. And we remember how good he was for that first 2 months of the year. Like, absolutely Cy Young candidate type of pitching. There was a situation with 2 outs in the 7th inning where he faced a first and third and struck out Kike Hernandez to end his inning with 7 strong innings. And I remember him being, like, exuberant, like Hulk.
I remember that.
Remember
yeah,
that?
man. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's Game 7. This guy's got some passion.
Yeah.
And
Loved
so
it.
he gets out of that inning. Phillies lead 3-0. We go to the top of the 9th, and Jordan Romano did his best to lose this game. He gave up a home run to Tommy Edmonds to make it 3-2. He then proceeded to walk Will Smith, who was the tying run. The Dodgers pinch run with Chris Taylor for Will Smith. And just when it felt like all hope was lost, Max Muncy strikes out for a strike him out, throw him out double play to end the game. JT guns out Chris Taylor to end the game. Remember, they had to review it. They went to review for a while.
I do remember that.
And that was how the game ended. Phillies won 3-2. And I was like, man, this is the 7th game of the season. And I am juiced on a Friday night.
Yeah.
In early April.
Yeah.
That was a lot of. I remember. Do you remember that game pretty distinctly?
Oh, 100%. I was out at a pub with a buddy having a couple pops.
Okay,
and,
couple soda pops.
And we were watching it. We were watching it on the TV at the pub, and yeah, we were like, "Wow, this is great."
That was a lot of fun. So
awesome game.
That game is the only. I think that's the only like really early season game that we're going to get into, but I do remember that one being a lot of fun. Futz asks, was that a sweep? I think they won 2 of 3.
I think it was 2 of 3.
I think they won because the next night
won
was
the
the
first
night,
2, right?
I think the next day was the day. Remember they hammered Glasnow?
Yeah.
Castellanos hit the grand slam as soon as Glasnow came out.
Yeah.
I think that was that.
Did they lose the first game and then win the next 2? Or
I think they won the first 2 and then dropped the third one. Oh no, I'm sorry. They won the first game. Lost the second game.
And then that was the tiebreaker.
And then they won the third game, yes.
Yeah.
And that was the first series win of the year against the Dodgers. All right, number 4. The number 4 win of the year takes us to September 8th.
Ooh.
And one of Aaron Nola's 2 best starts of the year. Listen, we know Aaron Nola has not been very good this year. Very up and down. Has missed a lot of time this season due to injury. And the Phillies needed this one bad. Not because they were... close with the Mets at the time. I believe they were 7-up heading into this game.
Yeah.
But after being swept out in Citi Field, the Mets shrunk the Phillies' lead to just 4 games in the National League East. The Phillies, and in part because the Mets were playing some bad baseball, made it a 7-game lead once again. But the Phillies had an opportunity to crush the Mets in this series. And it started off with the vet who was struggling in Aaron Nola versus the rook, who was pitching great at the time, in Nolan McLean. And I think it was important for them to just go and split this series and hold serve. Well, they did a whole hell of a lot more than that. This game was the springboard to the Phillies sweeping out the Mets and really putting a stamp on the division. Aaron Nola not only matched Nolan McLean, he surpassed him. He threw 6 shutout innings. His command was elite. The fastball had life. And the Phillies, when they needed a start in a big way, especially considering they didn't score against McLean, he was really good. He went 5 1/3, gave up the 1 earned run. Aaron Nola gave a vintage Aaron Nola start. Not only kept them in the game, but was the reason they won the game. They win this game 1-0. It propels them to go on to a sweep. They win 6 straight. They run away with the National League East, and they do it in pretty convincing fashion. This was an incredible performance from Aaron Nola.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Awesome game. 1-0 victory. And you know me, I love low-scoring games. I love pitchers' duels. This was an awesome game. All right, the number 3 win of the year. We've talked about this one before. It goes back to August 19th on Tuesday night. The Phillies beat the Seattle Mariners 6-4 thanks to a JT Realmuto go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. It started with a masterclass from Christopher Sanchez. 6 1/3 innings of 2-run ball. He struck out a career-tying 12 batters in this game and was just absolutely carving up the Mariners. I believe he struck out at Eugenio Suarez 3 times in this game, and he was just excellent. But he comes out of the game after 6 1/3, and Orion Kerkering, who had struggled with inherited runners up to this point, struggles again with inherited runners. The Mariners end up tying the game in the 7th. But in the bottom of the 8th, JT hits the go-ahead 2-run home run. The Phillies nail it down. They win 6-4. And this was part of a stretch of 9 series victories in 10 series. The only loss was the sweep at the hand of the Mets heading into late August and early September. That was the only series they lost in that 10-series stretch, but in that time, they also won series against the eventual AL West winners in the Mariners, the NL Central and best record in baseball winners, the Milwaukee Brewers, the NL West winners in the LA Dodgers, and a series win over the Braves, who played much better in the second half, and the Royals, who at the time were still fighting for a wild card spot. This was an important series victory for the Phillies, and this 6-4 win was really, really important in doing so. All right, coming up on the other side, the final 2 wins of the 2025 season, wins number 2 and number 1, and we'll talk a little bit more about how the playoffs stack up in terms of what excitement level and how you enjoy watching them. It's the PHLY Phillies podcast. We are broadcasting live from the Xfinity Lounge. We have about 10 minutes left in today's show. Tyler Zulli and Andrew Frazier will be right back after this. All right, just because the summer is closing to an end, it doesn't mean you don't need your shades, because it is beautiful outside today, and there's no better company to buy an incredible pair of sunglasses that are durable with crystal clear optics, incredible frames, and that don't cost you an arm and a leg like Shady Rays. You know, I've been rocking my Shady Rays for a while now, and with good reason. They protect my eyes from the sun. I look pretty good in them, if I do say so myself, and they come in a ton of different styles and selections that are going to match every single look and aesthetic that you're going for. And how about this? If you ever lose or damage your pair, even on day 1 of having your Shady Rays, the company's going to work with you to give you a lost or broken replacement guaranteed. And they don't break the bank either. They're in pretty good pricing range, and you know, you're not going to have to worry about paying an arm and a leg for a really good pair of polarized sunglasses. It's the company that has your back and allows you to wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on a boat, wherever it might be. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head on over to shadyrays.com, use the promo code PHLY, and you'll get 35% off a pair of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, you know Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks, but did you know that they're also the place with the helpful hardware home service team? Yes, that's right. They are going to come right to your front door and bring that helpful hardware folks feel that you love all the way from Philly to the Jersey Shore. They are going to bring you experience and understanding. They're not going to stop until the job is done to your satisfaction. They want to work with you within your budget and what works best for your home to make sure that you are satisfied 100%. So if it's something small like an outlet or a leaky faucet, or you're getting in time for the winter months and you know that heater's got to kick on soon, starting to get a little bit cooler, not quite yet, but we're getting there. You know you have to call our friends over at Ace Hardware and Ace Hardware Home Services. Head on over to acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project today. All right, welcome back to the PHY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli, Andrew Frazier, everybody hanging out in the chat. Really appreciate you. We have to get into our 2 best wins of the regular season as we await the Phillies' NLDS opponent. Let's get to win number 2. And the number 2 win of this season is the night that the Phillies clinched the National League East for the second time in 2 years. September 15th, a 6-5 win over the Dodgers. Had to wait an extra inning, wait a little bit longer to get that clinch, but the Phillies end up winning in extra innings 6-5 in LA. Now, it took extra innings because Joan Duran ended up blowing a save, but they win 6-5. They ended up scoring early off of Alex Vesia, who was the opener in this game, but Emmett Sheehan was really, really good. He shut them down for the most part for the bulk of 6 innings, and it was just 3-1 after 6, but the Phillies ended up scoring 3 in the 7th and 1 in the 8th off of that Dodgers bullpen that we've talked about. But Joan Duran blows the save on an Andy Pages home run. The Phillies are able to manufacture a run in the 10th after the Dodgers intentionally walk Bryce Harper. Harrison Bader steals third. JT Realmuto with a sac fly to take the lead. They lock things down in the 9th. A little bit of concern. David Robertson walks a couple of hitters, but he gets out of the jam, and the Phillies win this game 6-5, and they go on to win the National League East for the 2nd consecutive year. All right, the number 1 win of the season. Now, Andrew, I've said this probably 45 times since this game has happened. I think we probably know what the game is, but do you have an idea of what the number 1 win of the season might be, in my opinion, for the Phillies?
Is it the Schwarber game?
It is not the Schwarber game. As much fun as that was, The Phillies beat up on the Braves so bad that night that I think that was in hand. To me, the number one Phillies win of the year, the most impressive win the Phillies had this season, was on Labor Day, September 1st, a 10-8 win over the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
If you remember, Andrew, the Phillies went down 4-0 in this game after one inning. Taijuan
I do
Walker
remember.
was not good. And I think they were down 5-0 after two, and it was 6-1 at one point. They had the weird day off in between because the Brewers wanted to play on Labor Day. So they played Monday, off Tuesday, played Wednesday, played Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies could have given up and said, whatever. I don't need this game. It is what it is. We'll come back on Wednesday, regroup. We'll find a way to try to win this series. But instead, multiple times, they battled back to win this game 10-8. And it was the gutsiest performance of the year from the Phillies. Harrison Bader, I believe, had 4 hits in that game, including the game winner, was excellent defensively. Bryce Harper had a big day. This was one of those games that just kind of proved to me like, man, this Phillies team might be a little bit different. This Phillies team is not going quietly into that good night. They don't roll over and die at any point. They are a team that could beat you any given day. And by the way, this was coming off a Sunday Night Baseball loss to the Braves, where they did not finish the game until late in the evening, had to get on a plane, go to Milwaukee, and play, I believe it was a 3 o'clock start on Labor Day that day. Maybe it was 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock our time, 3 o'clock there. But yeah, they were down 4-0, 5-1. They made it 5-3. Then they made it 6-5. The Brewers tied it up 6-6. The Phillies made it 8-6. The Brewers tied it up 8-8, and then the Phillies scored the 2 runs in the 9th. Trey Turner, 2 for 5. Bryce Harper, 2 for 5 with the home run. Brandon Marsh with a 4-hit night. Harrison Bader, I apologize. Harrison Bader had 3 hits, but had 3 RBI. Bryson Stott with a 2-hit night. A collective effort from this team to pick up 14 hits, score 10 runs, and get after Abner Uribe in the 9th, who has been so good all year. This, to me, was the best win of the Phillies season, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that game, and it was just crazy, yeah.
And that's our top 5. If you could flash that top 5 graphic one more time for me,
got
Andrew, for everybody. Here's our top 5. Number 5, a 3-2 win all the way back in April over the Dodgers, just the 7th game of the season. Number 4, a 1-0 Aaron Nola masterclass against the Mets on September 8th. Number 3, a 6-4 win on August 19th over the Mariners. Number 2, the night they clinched the division, a 6-5 extra inning win over the Dodgers. The number 1 win of the year was a 10-8 win on Labor Day over the Brewers. All right, before we get out of here, Andrew, I want to ask you this question, because I started today's show talking about how much I love Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball postseason, especially when your team gets to sit around and wait for everybody else.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Let's rank the big 4, NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL. Rank the big 4 postseasons. Let's start at number 4. My number 4 is the NBA. Now, I think the NBA has had some really fun NBA finals, like the LeBron chase down block, down 3-1. Cleveland goes on to win the series. That was a fun one. Toronto wins the NBA Finals. We've had a whole bunch of different iterations of Warriors, Cavs over the years. I think we've had some fun finals, but I think for the most part, the better teams win most series in the NBA. I think if you were to say which series is the most chalk, or which playoffs is the most chalk, I would say it's the NBA. So I'm going to go number 4 is the NBA postseason.
I said something to you differently before the show, but I'm going to agree with you. The NBA, I feel like what you just said is exactly how I feel as well. There's not much magic that goes on in NBA playoffs. You can pretty much expect that, like, you know, the better team in that series is going to win. Now, does it happen? Does that happen all the time? Not all the time,
sure,
but more often than not, it does. And also, just I'm not a big basketball fan, so.
Well, I think your fandom plays a part into it too. So, like, the NBA for me is probably 3rd out of 4th. Like, I would say I'm the most casual NHL fan.
Yeah.
I probably watch the NBA a little bit more intently. I also worked on the Sixers radio broadcast team for 6 years. So, like, there was a spot in my life where I was watching the NBA unbelievably intensely because I was talking about it on a daily basis.
Sure.
I've probably become a more casual fan since I've worked here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go NBA 4. And before we do anything else, we get to your final 3. Big thank you to everybody who watched on our streaming platforms, our Roku, our Samsung, our Xfinity platforms. Head on over to allphly.com to watch the rest of the show. We are officially in overtime. All right. So the number 3 playoffs for me, Andrew, I think this one might be a little controversial.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to preface it by saying the most important game of these playoffs is the number 1 sporting event in the world, in my opinion. Probably not even in my opinion. Objectively, the number 1 sporting event in the world.
You're going to say football at 3?
I am going to go with the NFL at 3.
Wow. Okay.
And there's not because I think the NFL playoffs are bad. I just think the other 2 are better. And I'm going to go with the NFL at 3, knowing that the Super Bowl is the single biggest sporting event in the world. Now, the World Cup probably rivals it, but it's such a long, such a long event that there's highs and lows, and you're not going to watch every game. Now, the World Cup finals are probably like off the charts in terms of viewership. But the Super Bowl to me is the single biggest event of the sporting calendar year. It should be a holiday. It probably should be played on Saturday, quite frankly, if we're not going to do the holiday thing.
Or you get the Monday off.
Right.
I think
like we should do it maybe the President's Day weekend type of thing.
Everybody should have that Monday off.
But I think that the NFL playoffs are really, really good. I just like the next 2 a little bit more. Knowing the Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event on the planet.
Okay. Well, I rank mine NFL playoffs a lot higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it's the NHL.
Okay.
Is the 3rd. They're fun. It's electric to watch the NHL. A lot different than the NBA. You don't know what team, can the better team win that series? Sure, but there are a lot of what ifs. What could happen? There are teams that can just come out of the woodwork and win. And the fast-pacedness of it. I feel like hockey's amplified in the playoffs. Things become more physical. It's just you get a lot of more spectacle. I put it at 3.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Major League Baseball playoffs.
Yeah,
I think
we agree on that one.
The way I was not a fan of the wild card expansion when it happened.
So you put the NHL at 1.
But watch it, yes, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Watching the way that teams have been thrown to the fire over the last couple of playoff series, where if you lose game 1, you are immediately with your back against the wall. Now, I think the only change I would make to Major League Baseball playoffs is to put the NLDS at 7 games. I think a 5-game series is stupid. I think that, 7-game series, more times than not, you find the better team. Unless you've got a really, really good series, a lot of them aren't going 7 anyway. But I think you find the better team in a 7-game compared to a 5. But I think baseball, as I said in the open, even the casual fan, even the fan that is not watching their team play, hangs on every pitch, especially as you get into the 6th and the 7th and the 8th and the 9th innings. And I will say this. Of playoff series, not the 1-game Super Bowl, of course, but of playoff series, the single greatest playoff series of my life belongs to the 2016 World Series. The Guardians and the Cubs, to me, is the best playoff series of my life.
Wow, okay.
And I think that was a moment of this is the greatest game in the world, in my opinion, and I love what is absolutely happening. I am going to go with Major League Baseball at number 2.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also there with you. It's my favorite playoffs that is a series. I think it's I get where you're about to go with your number 1. Yeah.
The reason I go with the NHL at number 1 is because as a casual hockey fan, as a Flyers fan, when I watch the NHL and you brought up the intensity ramp up, the guys gutting it out. And every NHL season, you hear the season's over and you go, 7 guys on the roster were playing with torn, broken, sprained, blah, blah, blah. Hockey players are the most intense players in any sport on the planet.
Hands down.
the speed at which they play, the relative size, by the way. Like, hockey players throw their bodies around like NFL players, but do it at 5'8" and 180 pounds. Hockey
Insane.
is a physically demanding sport unlike any other. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you do it with, like, knives on your feet.
You do it on ice.
It's insanity.
Like, you're doing it on ice. That is the craziest thing. I had this argument with my friends all the time. I truly believe that the most athletic sport is hockey. Because you do
disagree.
all of that on ice.
Yep. And I think that when good goalies rise to the occasion in the postseason, I think about the year Jonathan Quick was unbelievable. Actually, multiple years Jonathan Quick was unbelievable for the LA Kings. Like, that was different level of goaltending play. Like, when Andre Vasilevsky's the year that the Lightning won the cup. Like, when you see good goaltending play in the NHL, my goodness, is it amplified in the postseason. And I think that when you brought up the level of, like, anybody could beat anybody on any given day, there is no greater example of that than the NHL postseason, where 7 games are just absolute, I'm going to use a phrase that Bill Match uses a lot, absolute rock fights from start to finish. It is 60 intense minutes. And I think that as somebody who's probably the most casual sport is hockey, I think the most intense, physically demanding postseason is the NHL, and I don't think there's a better postseason than the NHL. Now, the only thing I would say is I would go back to a 1-8 format. I don't love the wild card. You're kind of bubbled into playing these certain teams, and you see the same matchups every single year. Like, how many times are we going to get Toronto and Boston?
Yeah.
But I would go back to a strict 1-8. But other than that, I love the NHL playoffs.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think that they're amazing. My number one is obviously going to be the NFL.
For sure. And I know you're a football first guy.
I'm a football first guy, but also it's just the do or die.
Sure.
You don't have a series. You don't have a chance to come back from a game that you lost. You have to put it all into that game. And if you don't show up that game, if you can't score that game, if your defense isn't working that game, if your offense cannot, get points on the board, you're done and you're out. You're completely out. Like in baseball and hockey and basketball, like you have a 7-game series, you have a 5-game series. We're like, okay, yeah, we lost game 1. We have a chance to still fight this. No, there is no game 1. There is no game 2. There's only the game that you play in. And if you lose that game, you are out of the playoffs. And I get it. Like the Super Bowl is a big spectacle now and all that stuff. But, I don't think if you want to talk about intensity, and then you're also talking about like the injuries of players. Like you hear the same thing, like guys play with knee problems all the time, foot problems. Their fingers are all jammed up. They were having spasms here and there. And I mean, look at the Eagles when they won last year and how many guys were hurt on that line.
Sure.
But they bulked it out, and that's why to me, I don't think there's any better playoff than the NFL.
All right, and that's going to wrap up today's PHLY Phillies podcast. There's our rankings. What are yours? Where do you rank the big 4 sports in terms of postseason success? A huge thank you to everybody in the chat. I see K-Red. I see Futz. I see Elephant in the Room was here earlier. Everybody that was here. Thank you, Frank Barber. Thank you so much for being in the chat. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We have a couple more days. We're getting there, my friends. And maybe by the time we talk to you next, we are going to know who the Phillies NLDS opponent is. I think we're all probably under the assumption it's going to be the Dodgers in the next 24 hours or so. But until that time, a huge thank you to Andrew Frazier for producing and co-hosting today's show. We will be back on Friday at noon for the final tune-up podcast before we get set for the MLB NLDS. Reminder, pre- and post-game for every single playoff game will be here. So pre-game, we're going to be here for about 20-ish minutes or so. Post-game, we'll have an hour-long pod. It'll be a combination of me and Andrew and Bill Matz and Rich Hoffman and Pat Egan, and we're going to have a whole bunch of different people come in and hang out with us. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. So we will talk to you again on Friday, and then remember, Saturday pre- and post for Game 1 of the NLDS. I'll see you on Friday afternoon at noon as we get you closer to the NLDS right here in Philly on the PHLY Phillies podcast. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.